One of the people told me one time, for 51 weeks a year, I'm in your world. I'm looking for ramps and handrails and the little cartoon wheelchair guy on the bathroom door, things like that. For 1 week a year, I'm down here with my people.
They treat us like we should be, you know, with a lot of respect and making sure that we're safe, because most of us haven't even been on a boat, you know, let alone in another country.
I've learned something having MS. My occupational therapist, recreational therapists say, they just look and laugh and smile at me and say, well, adaptive.
This is our annual trip to Cayman Brac with our recipients, our adaptive divers, and also we're bringing back some previous recipients, and also we have some of our recipients that are coming on their own, which is a lot of fun. It's great to see these people and be able to give back.
Dive Pirates is a foundation where we take people with physical disabilities and we train them up and we get them ready to dive and we take them on a trip and just spread the love and spread joy to them and give them an opportunity that they probably or may not have. So it's really rewarding.
Hello. How are you doing? Good.
The number one thing is overcoming the fear. A lot of people have fear of the ocean. They have fear of being underwater, and everybody has a little bit of a different problem when they're learning to dive. Some people hate taking their mask off. Some people hate taking their regulator out of their mouth. So everybody has to overcome fear.
At first I was a little apprehensive because, you know, it had been so long since I'd been on a boat, and part of my transitioning out of the Navy, I wanted to go back to a boat, but I had such a hard time maintaining my balance and everything like that. It hurt my knees and back so bad. That's why I wasn't fit for sea duty.
I'm just like pure excitement. I'm very excited, happy, excited.
How long have you been waiting?
It's been over 20 years since I've been in the ocean, so I never knew I could do this again. I thought I was done with scuba diving, so I'm extremely happy. I'm not used to asking for help. Being my role in the military, I led people, and I've always been the support system. I've been the go-to guy, so I'm not used to asking for help. They make it so easy for you here. Like, we're here to help you. We're here to make this an enjoyable experience. So I have to, you know, back up on my pride, and it's working out very well.
Today is a good day to go reefing.
Scuba diving is something I've always wanted to learn how to do. It was just slightly out of my means for a very long time. But ever since I moved to Florida 9 years ago, I was like, all right, I gotta learn how to scuba. And I was researching, you know, adaptive scuba and places that would do certifications. And it was just always just barely out of the price point, right? Not quite in the budget.
I think I've always been connected to the water. I was a swimmer growing up and when I was very little, and I've always loved the ocean. I lived by the ocean for a long time, so being in the water is like my happy place, and I feel like I wanted to see more of that, so I always wanted to do it.
Then I'm going to clip over your right. Okay.
I think my mom has a good saying. She says it in Spanish, but it's something like, instead of being worried, like, be proactive. And I think I do that a lot. It rhymes in Spanish. And so, yeah, I just try to find the way around and like not think too much about the problem and just try to get to the solution.
I've been around it for really my entire life. My dad was involved as long as I can remember. I've always been going on trips, maybe not diving, but going off the boat, snorkeling, being around people, just helping where I can and just being around it. And then a few years ago, we went to Key Largo on a trip, and that was my first real experience where I got to get in the water and help out and work the sling and just be around everybody and kind of get to learn everybody and everything. So.
Ed loves diving. Ed loves diving and working. He doesn't have hobbies other than his diving. And it's so wonderful to me to see him enjoy what he does and enjoy giving back. Some of them call me Mama Gail. I just try to be the presence there and anticipate their needs, like helping sometimes with their food and just trying to be the eyes and help.
My original injury from the military was over 20 years ago. It ended up being spinal problems. I ended up having a spinal fusion, L5S1. That was 2010. I was involved in 2017 in the Route 91 mass shooting, in which I was hurt again. It's helpful because I'm around people who have been through similar situations. But everyone here has something that people at home don't, and that's hope. And they're determined that they're going to overcome what has happened to them. When you're dealing with support groups and things like that, people get stuck and they constantly lash out and they have pity parties, and that's not conducive when you're trying to heal.
I was in Iraq, OIF, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and I had an insurgent in my crosshairs, and my guys were like telling me take the shot, and I'm taking the shot, but he's still walking. My finger, I thought I was pulling the trigger, but between the brain and my arm wasn't working. That was the first, that was my first symptom, along with optic neuritis. My left eye went completely black. I couldn't see. And I didn't know all of this stuff going on. So when I came back to the States, I went to the VA, went through a year of testing, and they told me, you have optic neuritis, you have multiple sclerosis. I thought I was gonna die. I didn't know nothing about multiple sclerosis. And that's the beginning. This is my first time in 30 years back in the water scuba diving. In the ocean, I never thought this was possible once I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
So it's been at least 15 years, plus a little bit more, since my injury. I had a tree fall on me. It was a very large tree trunk that had all the branches already been cut off of it, but it was still a 15 to 20 foot tall tree trunk, about 2 foot round. Estimated weight was close to 3,000 pounds. Broke my back, shattered my L1 vertebrae, broke my jaw in 2 places, and I had 8 fractured ribs. Although most of the people that go through this program are military or ex-military, I myself am not, I still don't feel left out of the conversation.
I have a neuromuscular condition. I've had it since I was 3 years old, but it's been progressing throughout my life. So it's called Charcot-Marie tooth. It's very uncommon. And it affects from my elbow to my hand and my knee to my feet. So my nerves are not as strong as the regular person. So I just have a lot of weakness. And throughout my life, it was mostly fine. Like I was a normal kid growing up, like running, jumping, doing all the sports and things like that. And then when I was 19, I moved to the US to go to college in Florida. And I just had like my health decline very abruptly back then. Different changes in lifestyle and just growing up and things like that. So I just got to the point that I was so weak that I had a really hard time walking and doing things like that. So it's progressive, so the longer I go, the more it gets advanced, I guess. It's really great to see all the people that are here, like willing to help just because they want to help, and volunteering and wanting to learn how to like dive with other people, because they could just dive by themselves, but they're willing to help others, and that's just really nice. And it kind of gives me this feeling that even if like it feels like, oh, this is difficult, like there's always going to be like great people out there that are willing to help and willing to do things to make things work. So
I was packing up a motorcycle engine, a dirt bike, you know, and I tripped over an extension cord and came down and hit a toolbox and landed on the concrete, knocked myself out, and then when I came to, I was having all kinds of problems with my neck and my lower back was killing me. And they said, no, we need to do something about your neck. So I ended up getting they took some bone out of my own hip and put it in my neck, and it had 4 fusions in the front. It went septic, and it almost killed me. It got to the point it was starting to really get angry and swollen. It felt hot to the touch, and I went in to get it checked out, and when I was sitting there, it kind of erupted, and they're like, get him into the ER. It was a very, very close call. Don't let labels define you. Handicapped does not mean the end of the world, you know. As my little niece would say, she wouldn't say handicapped, she'd call it handy dandy. So there's a handy dandy parking spot, handy dandy this, handy dandy that. So think of it more of handy dandy than handicapped, you know. Persevere. I mean, yeah, there's struggles. It's not as easy as it is for somebody who's fully sound and all that, but you know, just persevere through.
My hope is some of that translates to their life outside of diving, that they will become more confident in trusting in, because some of them have had bad experiences and it's hard for them to trust.
You can have physical limitations, but don't let the mental limitations get in the way of that. There's a lot of people here to help and mentally get rid of those reservations and get out there and give it a try. If you have a love for the ocean or the love for doing something different, and go beyond your physical disability.